Hey, what's up you guys? John Santos, and in today's video, I want to discuss a topic that continues to come up through members of the Ground Up Academy on Instagram and also through YouTube comments, and that is, how can you make money in order to build your business? Now, it's kind of like a catch-22. You need money in order, or you need an income in order to invest into the development of your brand. So sometimes it's a little hard to do that if you don't have a job that pays you well enough, or perhaps you feel like a job is sucking the energy right out of you. So in this video, I want to really go into detail into how you could build a side hustle through your passions and turn it into real income that you can use to build the brand and business that you've always wanted. Okay, so this is a common question that continues to pop up. Like I mentioned, a lot of members from the Ground Up Academy have recently graduated high school or they're in college and they're also going through this. So if this is something that you're currently going through, I highly recommend that you stick around for this video. Take out a pen and paper because we're going to be showing you some real applicable steps that you can immediately use to turn your passion into some profits. So let's jump into it.
This video is brought to you by the Ground Up Academy, an online training program and community designed to help build your brand and business from the ground up. Take advantage of the free online training mentioned at the end of this video to jumpstart your clothing line.
Before we jump into all the details on this conversation, I want to go ahead and highlight some of the creators in our community. Now, these people have turned their passions into a business and continue to flourish in every aspect of life. And I just felt like I needed to take a minute to just highlight some of these creators right now. And if you guys aren't following them, consider following them. Now, first and foremost, it's gonna be my wife, Amanda Love Santos. She really pushes the boundaries on creativity through the creation of not only YouTube videos, but the design aspect and the community that she's creating. If you have a wife or a girlfriend or somebody that's also very creative, I highly encourage that you share her profile to them and check out some of the work that she's doing on her YouTube channel as well as on her Instagram. Now, the next creator I want to highlight is Satori Revolution, which is run by two sisters, Crystal and Erica. They essentially created a swimwear line from the ground up themselves, and they're actually designing and mass producing this with a very eco-friendly approach. They're definitely on the brisk of creating something that's revolutionary and that you guys should definitely look into, especially if you're looking for some swimwear pieces for the love in your life. And last but not least is Crystal Laura. She's a YouTube creator, and I actually had a chance to meet and work with her over the span of 1 week when we were at YouTube Next Up a few months back. She has grown her channel from 0 subscribers to surpassing like 300,000 now. She's essentially somebody that's on her grind. I saw her working one-on-one when we were like in the same areas. She would always be grinding and like really killing the YouTube game while the rest of us were trying to understand how YouTube really worked. So those are the creators that I wanted to quickly highlight, and for a full list of them, you can find them on my Instagram page, which is linked right down below. I just felt that this creator spotlight really tied into the topic of this conversation because a lot of these creators have also found a way to monetize their audience and are really pursuing their passions and creating a business out of it. So that's essentially what I want you guys to start thinking about when we're jumping into this topic is, first of all, what is a passion that you have and what is a skill set that you're really good at? All right, find something that you're really proficient at, more proficient than other people are. And if it's a passion of yours, the next step is into monetizing it. Your skill set and your passion, something that you think you're mediocre at, you're perhaps really good at. Now, some of you that are watching this are perhaps some really talented graphic designers or really talented fashion designers. And it's something that you have a passion for, you've been doing it for years. And some of you guys may be really into video and photography, and you just feel like it's a hobby for you right now. What you need to realize is that those skill sets that you have, that eye for design, that eye for that creative video or that creative shot, is something that is very valuable to entrepreneurs and businesses all over the world. All right, so we no longer live in a society where small businesses or even corporations are hiring on full-time photographers or full-time fashion designers. A lot of the times these brands and these businesses are actually hiring people like you that's watching. Actually, they want to outsource their work to creative artists and creative people like you who will help elevate their brand's message or perhaps elevate those designs that they're launching. So now that you guys have identified that passion and that skill set that you have, we're gonna take you through how you can actually make a real side hustle that can make real income in order for you to build your brand. I want to take you through a real example. All right, this is a real example that I've run into multiple times, not just one time with one person, or it's literally almost every week that I feel like I have to explain how creatives can create a business off their skills, right? So we're going to take a graphic artist, for example. All right, perhaps you're somebody that's very into fashion, you're fashion forward, you're also a graphic designer. And perhaps you've tried trying to make logos for other people, and that's just been a headache working with clients that just don't understand your vision for it, right? So now what I want you to do is I want you to shift that mentality, and instead of just charging somebody for a logo, I want you to challenge yourself and really see if creating collections of apparel lines can be more of your fit, right? Maybe instead of charging somebody 50 bucks for a logo design, you can now charge somebody $300 for a collection of products that could be anything from like 2 to 3 different designs, right? And you guys could charge that $300 versus that $50 that you think you're kind of capped at with a logo design. Now, of course, you're gonna need some skill set and you're gonna need a really good eye for design, especially when somebody's gonna pay you and kind of entrust your sense of style onto their brand or onto their business. But that's kind of what I want you guys to think about is how can you expand the scope of your work? And by expanding on it, not necessarily taking more time, but expanding the services that you do in order to make a client happy and as well as in order to make your pockets happy, right? So instead of charging that $50 for one logo or one graphic that's very random, you position yourself as a creative artist who is now going to design collections for apparel brands. Okay, so this is a great way for you to showcase your skill set. One of the big things you're going to need to have is a brand or a collection of designs that you've created for other brands, right? And you're going to need to showcase that in a very nice way. And if you're a graphic artist, it's as simple as putting together a PDF presentation or launching a website that show the different clients you've worked with. But just by doing that, and by you being able to reach out to other brand owners, you are now able to start grabbing a good amount of income from projects that don't necessarily take much more time than creating that original logo design. And as another example, say you're a videographer. Perhaps you're out there filming and you're like, well, I don't know if I should charge $300 for a video that is only gonna be 3 minutes. And if that's the situation that you're at, because I've also had a conversation with a lot of you guys who are really creative in the video side of things, and you're scared to price your product and you're scared to price your work. But what you need to do is don't look at it as just a 3-minute video, okay? What you need to really look at is how much time is gonna go into actually doing that production. If it's an event they want you to attend and make a recap video for, how many hours are you gonna spend there? And then how many hours are you gonna spend editing, right? And don't just base it on the time that you're working, you also gotta base it on the value that you're bringing. So instead of just pricing it as one video that's 3 minutes, you can now say, I will make a 3-minute video recap of this event and I will make 3 1-minute Instagram posts, right? Something that's like, that you just chop up from different scenarios to hype up that same event. It doesn't take you that much more work, but instead of charging $150, now you could charge $400 for that package or even more. And by packaging it up and making it a bigger package, which doesn't take that much more time on your end, you're now able to charge more like $400 to $500 for that same video. All right. And what's important here, guys, is that you realize that you need to make money off of the work that you're skilled at. All right. That's essentially the only thing I'm trying to say is learn to monetize your skills, because then you could build whatever business you want to build as you guys are saving up that money and that income, and it's sharpening the tools that you have for your own brand and business. All right. So you no longer are just working a side job like Uber or something like that, which is no knock on that. It's just now you're in a creative field and you're challenging yourself to create better and increase your production value on everything that you do. So that essentially wraps up creating the package of what you're going to offer. All right, guys, instead of just offering a logo design, consider offering a collection design. And instead of offering just one video for an event, consider offering a video package which now gives you the opportunity to charge more in both instances. All right, and this can easily be applied to anything, photography or any other service that you guys may have. All right, don't just think about it so close-minded where you're like, oh no, I could only charge this much because if I charge more, they're gonna think I'm trying to rip them off. You're really not, guys. You're challenging yourself, and more importantly, it is gonna take you time. So it's not like it's not like a regular 9-to-5 job. The creative industry has a very crazy bracket of hours, of what you could charge per hour, all right? It's not just $30 an hour or $25 an hour. It could be $400 an hour, all right? That's the difference between working a 9-to-5 and building your own side hustle and your own business. So I hope I just opened up your mind to how you could price things and actually make some real income to make it to make your side hustle a full-time job, but that also creates an income stream that you could build a full-time business. All right, it's not easy, and working for yourself takes a lot more time than just clocking in. So if you don't have the brain share or the willpower to do that, then I don't recommend it for everyone. But I know that a lot of you guys watching have the ability to make real money, and I'm just here to try to open up your mind to that. All right, so now you may be wondering, okay, well, my mind's open, John. It's ready to consume. How do I actually build this? What do I do? Here are the steps that I want you to do. The first thing that you should do is go ahead and download an app like Hours Keeper. Hours Keeper is a very easy to use hours keeping app, which essentially will track the hours that you're working, right? So just like when you clock into work, when you go to like a smoothie shop or you go to your restaurant job or wherever you're gonna go work, people are always tracking how many hours you're working, right? So now I want you to do the same for yourself. All right, because that's the one thing that you'll never get back is the amount of time that you spend doing anything, right? First, you're gonna download that app, Hours Keeper, and then you're gonna go out and find one client, right? You're gonna find one client that you're gonna work with, and ideally, you do not wanna offer it for free, but you wanna offer it as close to free as possible. And the reason that I say that is because you're gonna need to set up your billing and your invoicing skills as well as your communication and accepting payment, right? Accepting that first payment from a freelance job is like a mind-blowing experience to you because you now know that you could charge for a talent that you have. And if somebody's breaking your balls back at home, like your mom or your girlfriend or something, you could say, look, I got paid, all right? Let's take you out to dinner. Maybe like Chick-fil-A, you know what I'm saying? No, but for real, like you guys could make them happy with that Chick-fil-A. No, but what I'm trying to say is that if you charge a client, you now have to figure out how to get paid, right? And you're also gonna get a little bit of practice in how you're gonna position your services, because you could just go out and get a client and get them for free and kind of build up your portfolio. But at the end of the day, guys, you need to get a paid client so you can have that transaction experience and that confidence level a little higher, and people back home can stop breaking your back when you bring them those Chick-fil-A tray full of food, right? So yes, get Hours Keeper, get a client. Now, the reason that you get Hours Keeper and you get a client is because I want you to write down and I want you to log down every hour that you're spending on that project. So if it was a graphic design for a collection, I want you to go ahead and hit start on that app when you're talking to that person on the phone, trying to get their ideas out of their head, or perhaps you're sending them an email, or perhaps you're working on the actual designs. And then as you guys are going back and forth over the project, always track your hours. All right? Because at the end of that one client that you get, you're gonna essentially know how many hours you spent, right? Because sometimes it's easy to lose track of how much time you wasted on stuff. So it's gonna be very important for you to note down how much time is being spent and where it's being spent, because you are then able to identify what areas are gonna take you the longest and what systems or processes you need to put into place in order to reduce those long conversations, right? Because then you'll know how many hours you're gonna spend per client, and then you'll be able to create a real budget based on those amount of hours, right? So let's just say your video project or your graphic collection project, it took you 10 hours to do that, right? So you now have 10 hours of real time that you spent to create that video, to create those collection of designs of products. And then what I want you to do is I want you to price out that service to a beginner level, and then as your client load starts to increase, then you could rise the amount of income that you're gonna charge for each new project, all right? So off of that $10, off of those hours that you spent, let's just say you spend 10 hours, a beginner level is something like $25 to $30 range. So that project, you charge a client anywhere from $250 to $300 for every new client that you bring on, right? And then as you get more experience, or perhaps the demand of new customers come to you, you could bump up the price to $50, $75 an hour, $100 an hour, $200 an hour. Sky's the limit for you, all right? As long as you have a real tangible product that people love and people are able to make more money from, then you're able to charge more for it, all right? And that's the beauty of working for yourself and being a freelancer and being a creative that has real skill set. You're able to demand your price range. But to begin with, I highly encourage that you start in the $25 to $30 range so you're able to actually figure out what works, what doesn't, what type of clients you like, what type of clients you don't like, because the last thing you want to do is charge somebody $2,000 right out of the gate, and then you do a really bad job according to them, right? And then you just feel depressed because you didn't deliver, right? So you want to make sure that you put in those initial clients in order to build out your portfolio, have happy customers, and then get more referral business and continue to increase your price ranges as you go on. Now, an important thing that you need to set forward as you guys are building out this business is that you need to create a way to set expectations with your customers. All right, so this is the reason why I say take on one client first and then track all the hours, because you are now able to realize, you know what, I'm not willing to get on calls at 10 p.m. with somebody because they want this little logo change. Then they call me again at 6 a.m. because they want this graphic or this new sound in there. And then you find yourself like communicating with that same client like so many times for changes. What you're gonna wanna do is you wanna set expectations. All right, so all new clients moving forward know this is how you're going to work. And a very typical approach to these types of creative jobs is, obviously you're gonna say, this is my workflow for a graphic design project. You're gonna say, you know, we'll do a collection of 3 designs that you can use across multiple products, whether it be hats, whether it be t-shirts, sweaters, and the license to use is completely yours. So you give full rights for them to use it wherever they want to use it, but you're going to create those 3 designs for them, right? So now what you're going to do is you're going to say, in order for us to start, I'm going to need this from you, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need this, whether it be your idea / inspiration, where do you want to, what direction do you want to see? Do you want to see a certain brand style? And then what you want to do is you want to give them certain elements of design that they want you to integrate into that design, right? So that's just an example. There's a lot of other ways that you guys can get that information from your customers, and I highly encourage that you guys really look into that. But for that example, then you're gonna say, okay, so based on those examples, I'm gonna go ahead and create 8 designs that are very random, but in that direction that you're requesting, right? And the reason that you say 8 is because now they feel like, oh wow, I'm gonna get 8 designs that I could choose from, right? And then you're gonna go ahead and say, out of those 8, you're gonna choose 3 designs that you'd like me to really finalize and wrap up and kind of bundle together in order to create the ultimate 3 designs that you're gonna get for your brand. So now the customer is like, oh wow, I'm gonna have this big selection to choose from, and we're gonna narrow down the designs to the top 3 that I like. And then based out of those top 3 that you create, you are then gonna say, and you're entitled to 2 revisions, to 1 revision, or whatever it may be. But you make that clear up front, all right guys? You make it clear how many revisions they get for the final product, because based on that first client, you'll know where a lot of communication could have potentially gone wrong, and you now set clear expectations for the clients moving forward. And I find this to be a very helpful and useful way for you guys to communicate with clients. So that way they're not like trying to reach you every minute of the day trying to request a change on something, because you already delivered the final product and they had those 2 revisions. It's not like you're being mean to them or anything, but this doesn't mean that you don't do any revisions moving forward after the 2. It could be any revisions cost $50 per revision, or whatever, however you want to price it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could still give people some chances to like revise things. You don't have to be a complete, boop. And you can still be really cool about it, and they can respect that. Make it really clear up front. So that's setting expectations. So now that you guys got your clients, you got your hours keeper tracked, and now you set your expectations to your services, the next thing you're gonna need to do is get paid. All right, so this is a very common thing that happens with creatives is they're afraid to get paid. And this is the reason that I encourage you to charge that first client, even if it's 30 bucks or 50 bucks, because you'll now know, okay, this is how I'm gonna get paid. This is how I'm gonna request it. The biggest thing is that you need to get paid up front. All right, guys? There's no other way to do it when you're doing a creative job, especially if you're working with clients in different states and different areas. And it's a win-win for both people, right? If they set a deposit for you, the biggest thing that I recommend you do is that you charge a deposit, and deposits are usually 50% of the total cost. So if they're gonna pay you $300 for the project, then you're gonna say, I need $150 up front and then $150 upon delivery. And then that way you guys, they know, okay, well, in order for me to start this project, I need to dish out some money. And you're gonna have a lot of clients that aren't gonna dish out that money. So it's easy for you to kind of sift through the clients that are serious and the clients that are just breaking your balls and trying to get you free work, right? So make sure that you protect yourself by charging that upfront fee. And it's very easy to do it on something like PayPal, especially if you do like PayPal invoicing. You could request the PayPal invoice for 50% due now, and then the 50% due when you remind them or whatnot. PayPal is a great way to invoice if you're doing freelance work. And the last pro tip that I have for you guys as you guys are building out your side incomes is to remember that you do not have to work with everybody that wants to give you money. It's kind of crazy, right? Like for you to turn down money, that's crazy. But I highly encourage that you guys keep that in mind. By you doing good work, you'll continue to get more jobs. And with that, occasionally comes the opportunities to work with some people that you may not be 100% wanting to work with, but the money's there and you're like, you know what, John told me as long as I set this process, then I should get paid and be happy with it. But I highly encourage that you guys reconsider not working with people that are gonna be complete assholes. All right, and what I mean by that is that there's some people out there who are legit like angry all the time, or perhaps carrying a lot of bullshit in them, and they just want to put it on everybody else. All right, guys, and this is speaking from experience. You do not want to work with those kinds of people. All right, and a good way to kind of see, like if you're kind of questioning, like, you know what, this person kind of rubbed me the wrong way. They're a little weird. They said this, which didn't vibe with me at all. Like, should I work with them? You know, like not everybody that doesn't vibe with you doesn't mean that they're not a good person. I'm just saying that if you feel like perhaps you have an instinct that's like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't work with this person. Before you turn down that money, because again, you're making a side income, before you turn down that money, this is something that you can do for vetting them, is just simply asking them, who was your last graphic designer, or who was the last videographer, or who was that last website designer, or who was that last person that worked with them on the project that they want you to work on now. Essentially ask them that straight up, like, hey, who was the last person that did this, right? And if they say, oh, no, that person moved or whatever, then you say, oh no, who was their name? Were they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are you guys still on LinkedIn? Or do they have a website? You know, and they're gonna have to tell you that name, like, oh, it was this guy named blah, 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 or whatever. And then what I want you to do is I want you to contact that person, right? I want you to go ahead and send them an Instagram message, send them a LinkedIn, or give them a phone call if it's a website, right? And I want you to actually go and give them a call and say, hey, I'm about to work with XYZ, this guy that I'm about to work with. And I'm just wondering, how did your experience go by collaborating with him last time as you built your website or as you built their graphic design? And then if they say something like, dude, that guy was a complete, if they start like just spilling their guts on how bad that person was to work with, that's a really red sign that perhaps you should not work with that person, because they're probably gonna give you the same problem. You can never make those types of customers happy regardless of how well of a job you do. So that is a pro tip that I have for you guys as you guys are developing your service side job businesses, which are gonna produce a lot of income for you, I already know. And I want you guys to keep me updated as you guys launch those services. Send me an Instagram message or leave the business name down in the comments below so we can stay in touch and generate new business for each other, right? That's at the end of the day, that's what it's really all about, guys. I created this YouTube community here for everybody to just be able to thrive and live out their best life. So what I want you guys to do is to figure out exactly where you're spending your time, figure out what clients you want to work with, figure out the skill that you're good at, and then you're able to kind of package all those things up and create a badass service because you have a real skill set that people need and people value, all right? So make sure that you value it too. Please keep me in the loop, and more importantly, share what you're doing, all right? Because I want to spotlight you in the next video. And if you're a new visitor to this channel, hit that subscribe button and that bell notification to be alerted of the latest videos hitting this channel, helping you build your brand and business from the ground up. See you guys on the next one. Bye.